Welcome to 3D Animation and VFX Masterclass, Session 1.
Hello everyone, welcome to this very first session of our 3D animation course, Introduction to the Animation Industry. I'm super excited to guide you through this fascinating creative world. Animation is everywhere. It's in movies, games, ads, even applications. It is magic that brings static images or models to life, tells stories, conveys emotions, and transports us to incredible new worlds. But how did it all begin? How did we get from simple drawings to full 3D virtual characters? Today we'll explore the roots of animation, how it evolved over time, and where 3D fits in this story. We'll also cover the types of animation and what the entire animation production pipeline looks like. By the end of this session, I want you to understand not just what animation is, but how it impacts entertainment, education, advertisement, and even technology like augmented reality and virtual reality. By the time of completing this course, you won't just be familiar with Blender, you will understand the full 3D animation pipeline. From the very first idea all the way to the final rendered shot. You will learn how to model 3D objects, sculpt details, forms, unwrap UVs, and apply realistic textures. We will go over how to set up lighting to bring mood and depth into your scenes. You'll also explore rigging, which lets your models move like real characters. On top of that, you'll dive into animation and finally learn how to render and polish your work with post-processing. This course is hands-on and project-based, perfect for beginners who are serious about learning animation in a structured and creative way. Now, let's start with basics. What exactly is animation? At its core, animation is art of creating illusion of motion. Unlike live-action film, where you capture real movement, animation tricks your brain by showing a series of images or frames rapidly, each slightly different from the last. When these frames play in quick succession, your eyes perceive it as a continuous motion. Think about a flipbook, a simple paper booklet where each page has slightly different drawings. When you flip through it quickly, the drawings appear to move. This principle is the foundation of all animation forms, from traditional 2D hand-drawn cartoons to modern computer-generated 3D animation. But it's more than just moving pictures. Animation is storytelling through movement, the timing of movements, the anticipation, exaggeration. These elements breathe life and personality into characters and objects. Also, animation isn't limited to characters. It can be abstract shapes, motion graphics, or even simulations of natural phenomena like water or fire. Understanding this illusion of motion and how to control it is crucial for any animator, whether you are working on a short film or a complex video game. Let's take a little trip back in time to understand how animation developed. The idea of animation actually predates film itself. Early devices like zoetrope and flipbooks from 19th century showed sequence of images when spun or flipped that appeared to move. The first real animated films came in 1900s. Emil Cole's Phantasmagorie from 1908 is often credited as one of the earliest fully animated films. A simple black and white stick figure animation that showed a character transforming and morphing. A huge milestone was in 1928 when Walt Disney introduced Steamboat Willie, the first cartoon with synchronized sound featuring Mickey Mouse. This was revolutionary because animation now had music and sound effects perfectly timed with visuals, making it a complete sensory experience. Fast forward to 1995 when Pixar released the Toy Story, the first feature-length film movie made entirely with 3D computer graphics. This marked a new era of animation, proving that computers could tell complex emotional stories just as well as traditional methods. Animation has come a long way from hand-drawn every frame on paper to using sophisticated software and hardware capable of simulating realistic physics, lighting, and motion. We'll talk more about different technologies later, but knowing this history helps appreciate the amazing tools and techniques we have today. Now, focusing specifically on 3D animation, it's an incredible evolution in how we create moving images. The transition from 2D to 3D wasn't overnight. Initially, animators experimented with simple 3D wireframe models. Imagine a digital skeleton made of lines with lacked textures and looked very basic. As computing power grew in 1980s and 90s, 3D models became more detailed. Artists could add surfaces, colors, and textures. Rendering technology improved, enabling realistic lighting, shadows, reflections, and even complex effects like fur or cloth simulations. 3D animation allows for unprecedented freedom. You can rotate a model in any direction, animate its complex rigging systems, and even create virtual cameras that move dynamically through a scene. It's widely used in movies, games, AR or VR, and even medical and scientific visualization. Real time rendering technology, where scenes are generated instantly like in games, has revolutionized interactivity. You can now explore 3D worlds live, making 3D animation essential in immersive experiences. Think about games like The Legend of Zelda, Breaking of the Wild, or VR apps where you can interact with objects and characters in real time. This flexibility is what makes 3D animation so powerful, and by learning it, opens up a huge range of creative possibilities. Next, we have types of animation. Now, let's explore the different types of animation. Understanding the variety helps you decide which part to specialize in or how to combine techniques. Traditional 2D animation. This is the classic hand-drawn animation frame by frame on paper or digitally. Disney's early movies like Snow White and Cinderella were created this way. It's labor intensive but gives a unique artistic feel. Today, artists often use tablets and software like Toon Boom, Harmony, or Adobe Animate to draw digitally. Stop motion animation. Here, physically objects like puppets, clay, models, or even everyday items are photographed frame by frame while being slightly moved each time. Think of Valash or Gromit or caroling. This style gives a tactile handcrafted look that's really charming. 3D animation. As we discussed, this involves creating digital models in 3D space and animating them using computer softwares like Maya, Blender, or 3ds Max. It's incredibly versatile, used in movies, games, commercials, and virtual reality. Motion graphics. Motion graphics involve animating graphic design elements like text, logos, or shapes, often used in explainer videos, commercials, and user interfaces. Tools like After Effects excel here. It's less about characters and storytelling and more about communication and branding. Visual effects. VFX integrates CGI with live action footage, adding elements like explosions, creatures, or magical effects. While it's not always animation in the traditional sense, it relies heavily on animation principles to create believable movement. Each type has its own set of tools, workflows, and artistic demands. For example, stop motion requires patience and meticulous planning, while 3D demands technical understanding of software. Many professionals specialize but also blend these types creatively. Next, we have 2D animations. 2D animation is probably what most of us think of when we hear the word animation. It includes classics like the Disney's Lion King or modern shows like The Avatar, The Last Airbender. Traditionally, animators do every frame by hand, on paper, or films. Today, much of that artwork happens digitally using softwares like Toon Boom or Adobe Animate, using the same basic principles of sequential images. Even though it's flat compared to 3D or 2D, Animation is incredibly expensive and allows for stylized art. Many independent animators love 2D because of its unique charm and control it gives over every detail. Plus, it's often quicker and less expensive than full 3D. 3D animation. 3D animation is very different from 2D. It starts by creating digital models of characters, props, and environments, almost like virtual sculptures. Softwares like Blender, Maya, or 3ds Max is used for this. Once modeled, a rigged skeleton or rig is placed inside the character. This rig controls how the model moves, like joints in a real body. Animators then use this rig to create motion, keyframing or using motion capture data. The final scenes get lighting, textures, and camera moves, making everything look very cinematic. Think about movies like Frozen or How to Train Your Dragon, where you see detailed characters and dynamic worlds that feel alive. This process requires close collaboration between artists, animators, and technical teams. Stop motion animation. Stop motion animation is a very hands on physical technique. Instead of computers, animators use real objects, puppets, clay models, or even everyday items and move them slightly between each photo. When the photos are played in a sequence, the objects appear to move on their own. It's a slow and painstaking process because even a short scene requires hundreds of thousands of photos. But it has a magical tactile quality you can't get with digital animation. Famous examples include Caroline and Waltz and Gromit. The unique texture and imperfections of stop motion often make the animation feel more personal and charming. VFX. Visual effects or VFX combine live action footage with digital elements. They are everywhere in blockbuster movies, adding everything from explosions and weather effects to fantastic creatures and futuristic environments. VFX artists work with green screens, compositing layers of footage and integrating 3D models and simulations so everything blends seamlessly. For example, in Avengers movie, many of the epic battle scenes use VFX to create superheroes, flying or energy blasts. In Avatar, entire alien worlds were brought to life through VFX. It's a highly technical field but also very creative, bridging the gap between reality and imagination. Overview of the animation pipeline. Let's look at the animation pipeline. The step-by-step process animation studios follow to create a film or game animation. It's usually divided into three main phases: pre-production, production, post-production. Each phase has its own tasks and challenges, and often different artists or teams specialize in those areas. Understanding the pipeline is more important because animation is a big team effort, from initial idea to final polish. Everything needs to be planned and coordinated carefully. Let's dive into each phase next. Pre-production, concept and storyboard. Pre-production is all about planning. Before any animation happens, artists and writers brainstorm ideas, develop characters, and write scripts. Storyboarding is a key step here. It's like creating a comic book version of the entire film or scene. Each panel shows what will happen, the camera angle, the key actions. This helps everyone understand the story, flow, and timing before animators start working. It saves a lot of time and money later on because changes are easier to make in this phase than after animation has started. Good storyboards also help the director communicate their vision to the team, ensuring everyone is on same page. Next, we have production, modeling and texturing. In production, the first step is modeling. 3D artists build sculptures of characters, props, and environments, kind of like making digital clay models. After modeling, texturing adds surface details, color, patterns, and materials like skin, fabric, or metal. Texturing brings models to life by making them look real or stylized depending on the project. Together, modeling and texturing set the visual foundation of the animation. Next, we have production, rigging, and animation. Rigging is the process of creating a digital skeleton for 3D models. It includes bones and joints that allow the character to move naturally. Once rigged, animators pose the characters and create motion, either by setting keyframes or using motion capture data. This step gives the characters personality, the way they talk or express emotions. Animators are like actors behind the scenes, bringing the models to life frame by frame. Next, in production, we have lighting and rendering. Lighting is crucial for setting mood and making scenes believable. Different lighting setups can make a scene feel happy, scary, or dramatic. Rendering is the process of generating the final images from 3D scene, combining lighting, textures, and animation. Rendering can take a lot of computing power. Sometimes a single frame takes hours to render on powerful computers. The better the lighting, the rendering, the more polished the final animation looks. Post production, composting, and editing. Post production is where all the pieces come together. Composters combine different layers, animation, backgrounds, effects, and finishing touches like color correction. Editors arrange scenes to ensure smooth storytelling and sound effects, dialogue, and music. This stage is vital to create the emotional impact and pacing of the final film or game. It's a creative and technical process that polishes the animation to perfection. Tools of the trade. There are many software tools animators use. Blender is a fantastic free and open source 3D tool, great for modeling, rigging, and animating. Autodesk Maya is industry standard, used in big studios for everything from modeling to character animation. Adobe After Effects is popular for 2D motion graphics and VFX compositing. The choice depends on your goals, budget, and the type of animation you want to make. Experimenting with different tools helps you find what fits in your style best. Career opportunities in animation. The animation industry offers different career paths. You can specialize as an animator, modeler, rigger, or VFX artist. If you love storytelling, becoming a storyboard artist or concept artist might be your calling. Technical artists work behind the scenes to create tools and pipelines that keep production running smoothly. The industry needs both creative and technical talent, so there's room for many skill sets. Plus, with growing demand for games, films, VR, and online content, the opportunities are expanding worldwide. Before we dive into hands-on work, let's talk about the hero of our course, Blender. What exactly is Blender and why is it such a big deal in the animation world? Blender is 100% free and open source 3D software used by hobbyists, professionals, indie creators, and even some major studios. That's right, you are learning an industry grade tool without spending a rupee. Now, here's what Blender can actually do. First, it covers the entire 3D pipeline. That means everything from modeling, sculpting, texturing, rigging, all the way to lighting, animation, and final rendering. All inside one application. It supports two powerful render engines, Eve for real-time previews and stylized rendering, and Cycles which delivers high-end photorealistic results. For modeling, you have a full set of tools to build anything from characters and environments to mechanical parts from abstract forms. You can sculpt in clay or model with precision depending on your workflow. Blender also includes rigging tools to create digital skeletons and controls. and you can animate both characters and cameras inside the same platform. And it's not just 3D. Blender includes a video editor, compositor, VFX simulation tools like smoke, fire, water, and cloth, and even motion tracking for live action film work. It's used in everything from animated shots to architectural visualization, product design, game development, and even films. A great example is the Open Movie String, entirely made in Blender by the Blender Foundation. So, whatever you want to make, a stylized cartoon, a realistic product commercial, or a cinematic short film, Blender has the tools to make it happen. And the best part, the Blender community is massive and welcoming. Thousands of tutorials, plugins, and resources are out there to help you grow faster. Who uses Blender? Now that we have looked at what Blender can do, let's explore who actually uses Blender in real world. Blender is a huge hit among indie creators and freelancers. These are solo artists or small teams who use Blender to create full animations, game assets, music videos, or 3D art. Since it's free, open source, and offers everything in one package, it's a perfect tool for people working on a budget but still aiming for professional results. Then we have animation studios. While major studios like Pixar use proprietary tools, many animation studios, smaller or mid-sized ones, use Blender for concept development and pre-visualization, also known as previs. It allows directors to quickly sketch out how scenes will look, test camera angles, or even storyboard with 3D models. Architects and designers also love Blender. They use it to create photorealistic 3D visualizations of buildings, furniture, interiors, and landscape. You can walk a client through a house that hasn't even built it yet. That's powerful. Now let's talk about game developers. Blender is commonly used to create 3D characters, props, and environments that are then exported to game engines like Unity or Unreal Engine. Many indie games you see have seen on mobile or PC were made with Blender assets. Lastly, VFX. VFX artists and short film makers use Blender to add visual effects like explosions, fire, magical spells, and more. Blender's built-in composers and simulation tools let you handle VFX without leaving the software, which saves you a ton of time. So as you can see, Blender isn't just for hobbies. It is used for professionals in architecture, gaming, animation, and filmmaking. Whether you are planning to become a freelancer or work at a studio, the skills you are learning here are widely applicable. There are great films that are made in Blender. Now, let's talk about some real films and short animations that were made entirely using Blender. These examples aren't just technically impressive, they are creative, beautiful, and made by artists like you. First up, Big Bug Bunny, released in 2008. This was once Blender's earliest short films, and it still holds up as a fun and beautifully animated comedy. It helped put Blender on the global animation app. Then there's Scintille, a short fantasy film that tells an emotional story of a girl and a baby dragon. It's powerful, heartfelt, and showcases how Blender can be used for storytelling and cinematic visuals. Elephant's Dream, released way back in 2006, was the world's first open movie created entirely with open source software, meaning you can even download the project files and learn from it. Tears of Steel. Tears of Steel is live action and visual effects hybrid. That's right, they combine real footage with 3D Blender elements. It proves Blender isn't just for animation, it's also a strong VFX tool. More recently, Spring, Sprite Fight, and Charge have taken Blender's quality to the next level. These were made by Blender Studio and demonstrate professional grade lighting, effects, and animation, all rendered in Blender's real time render engine (EV) or high quality cycles. There's also Hero, a short film that uses Blender's 2D grease pencil, showing that you can mix 2D and 3D animation in one scene. All these films were released under open licenses, so you can watch, learn, and even download the source file to study them. Blender isn't just for beginners or hobbyists. These are real world class films made with free tool, and maybe one day your short film will be on this list too. Now let's talk about Blender versus other 3D softwares. Something that comes up often if you are thinking of talking animation seriously. Blender is known for one major thing. It's 100% free and open source. No licenses, no subscriptions, no trial periods. That alone makes it incredibly accessible to students, hobbyists, indie creators, and even professionals who just want a powerful tool without huge investment. But cost isn't everything. So how does it stack up technically? Blender is all-in-one software. What do I mean by that? With Blender, you can model, sculpt, rig, animate, simulate, texture, render, edit videos, and even add VFX. All in one software. It's all in one software. Maya and 3ds Max are great, but they often need to be used with other Autodesk tools for complete pipeline. Maya, for instance, is heavily used in Hollywood studios, particularly for animation and character rigging. And it's very powerful, but it's expensive. You are looking at over 1.5 lakh rupees per year just for a license. The same goes for 3ds Max, which is preferred in architecture and industrial design. Cinema 4D is another popular tool, especially for motion graphics. It's known for its user-friendly interface and works beautifully with tools like After Effects. But again, it's paid and very industry specific. What gives Blender an edge, especially today, is the strong and growing developer community. Blender is updated frequently with new features that respond directly to community needs. The Blender Foundation, supported by donations and corporate sponsors like Epic Games, keep pushing the software forward. And then there are add-ons, free and paid. Blender has thousands of plugins and tools made by users. Need photorealistic trees, a full asset library, auto rigging? There's probably an add-on for it. Yes, the learning curve can feel steep at first, especially at the UI. But once you get used to it, Blender becomes incredibly powerful, especially when you realize you are not limited by features or money or access. So, while Maya, Max, or Cinema 4D might be preferred in larger production houses, Blender is becoming the tool for choice of freelancers, indie filmmakers, game developers, and even studios during concept and previous stages. And as you all see in this course, Blender is more than capable of helping you produce high quality 3D work, regardless of the budget. That's a big deal. Now let's deep dive into one of the most important questions. Why should you learn Blender? Blender isn't just a 3D tool. It's a complete all-in-one creative platform, and it's changing the landscape of 3D animation and design. If you are serious about learning 3D, starting with Blender is one of the best decisions you can make. Let's explore why. Blender is 100% free and open source. You don't need to pay a single rupee to install, use, or even produce commercial work with. That's huge, especially for students, freelancers, and independent creators who are just setting thousands of rupees into software. Subscriptions like Maya, 3ds Max, or Cinema 4D. But don't let the word free fool you. Blender is powerful. It's used by professionals across the world, including artists at top studios, and has been involved in commercial projects, short films, even parts of Netflix productions. And unlike many tools that only do one thing, Blender is all-in-one pipeline. It handles modeling, sculpting, texturing, rigging, animation, physics and simulations, camera tracking, VFX and compositing, video editing, and rendering, all inside one software. That means you don't have to jump between multiple applications and formats. You can go from first polygon to final cinematic render all inside Blender. This all-in-one approach makes Blender faster, simpler, and much more efficient, especially for individuals or small teams. You are not wasting time switching tools or solving capable issues. Another huge advantage is Blender's community. It's one of the most active, generous, and global open source communities out there. Thousands of artists, coders, and educators are constantly contributing to this software and producing new tutorials, plugins, and workflows. Blender receives frequent updates, not just bug fixes, but major future releases. In the last few years alone, we have seen a big leap in real-time rendering with Eve, simulation tools, geometry nodes, grease pencil for 2D animation, and powerful sculpting improvements. These features used to be available only in premium software, but now they are in your hands for free. Blender is also perfect for freelancers and indie creators. You don't have to worry about license, restrictions, cloud logins, or activation keys. You can install it as many machines as you want. If you are working from a cafe or from your bedroom or in Shade Studio, Blender will just work. And from a career standpoint, learning Blender opens many doors. Want to work in game development? Blender integrates beautifully with Unity and Unreal Engine. Interested in animation or VFX? Blender has industry-ready tools and is compatible with professional pipelines. Want to work in AR and VR? Blender is used by creators to build environments and assets for virtual experience. Want to get into production design, medical visualization, or educational content? Blender is widely used there too. There are also growing number of remote jobs and freelance gigs that especially request Blender. Studios love it because it saves them money and allows for more agile pipeline. Creators love it because it gives them creative freedom. Now, if you are thinking, will Blender give me the same career opportunities as Maya or other paid tools? The answer is yes. Blender is recognized everywhere now. Big studios like Ubisoft, Epic Games, and even NASA have used Blender for production work, prototyping, or internal tools. Also remember this, when applying for a job or freelance project, your portfolio matters far more than the tool you use. If you can create high quality models, animations, or renders, no one will care if you use Blender or Maya. They will only care about the result. Finally, Blender is also future-proof with tools like geometry nodes, real-time rendering engines, and constant updates. It's not just catching up with industry standards, it's helping lead the innovation. So to sum it up, Blender is free, powerful, respected in the industry, versatile, gives you complete creative control. And that's why this course is built around Blender. Because it doesn't hold you back. It helps you start strong, grow fast, and build a real creative future. Whether that's in animation, games, VR, film, or your personal project. So that by end of this course, not only will you know how to use Blender, you will understand why it's such a powerful gateway into the world of 3D. Let's keep going. In the first session, we explored the fascinating world of animation industry. We'll learn what animation is and how it creates the illusion of movement through a series of images. We took a quick journey through the history of animation, from early hand-drawn films to the rise of 3D animation with computer graphics. We also examined the main types of animation: 2D, 3D, stop motion, visual effects, etc. Understanding how each style is created and used. Finally, we walked through the animation production pipeline, from concept and storyboarding to modeling, rigging, animation, lighting, and rendering. This session set a solid foundation for your 3D animation journey by introducing key concepts and processes that we will build upon in upcoming sessions. And that brings us to the end of today's session. Thanks so much for joining me in this journey. I hope you find it inspiring and that you are excited to explore animation. Remember, the best way to learn is by doing. Try out some free tools, make a simple flipbook. Thanks again.